Hello everyone, Alzion the Great here, and welcome back to the Colorado State Dynasty on College Football Revamped. Today, we're going to be simming through the bye weeks to try and get to week 7 for our first conference matchup with San Jose State. But I wanted to, just make the standalone episode because there was a bit too much time. Going into it, I actually didn't know, as far as recording, going into it, I didn't actually know we had 2 bye weeks back to back. So, yeah, gonna recap basically what happened. Obviously, the loss to Washington State that game did not go as I had planned at all, and I absolutely despised it. We need, I think, just overall more pass rush. Offense needs to be a little bit more consistent. We're going to get used to the more up-tempo style so we can keep, so we don't have to just have this weird stop in the middle of our drives. But first, let's focus on recruiting. We can talk about the gameplay later. As I've only shown you one real recruiting update, and it hasn't been much. This is the first time looking at the board in week 5, as the number 1 player in Colorado, John Burley, is number 1. We're losing on that battle. And recruiting hasn't gone super well. We did not have a commit yet at this point. And obviously, this is my first time looking at the board this week, so I was, I made adjustments, as I went down the list. But a lot of the players that I really want we're not winning on, and it's just, a little concerning for me. Hank Johnson, corner, number 7 in the nation from Nevada, which would make sense to go after, and I'm still trying to keep it realistic, try to go after prospects that would make sense for Colorado State to go after, at least in terms of, where they're located. He gets off the board because we're losing that battle, but we're trying to, I was just, looking through the board, trying to see what I could do, trying to figure out, who we're moving. Who am I still going after, moving these players that I am no longer going after. And as we get to the end there, you see Keeper Vaughn, who was a receiver I was going after, but I stopped going after him because, as you can see, North Carolina is kind of running away with it. And we'll talk about him later. But I also wanted to see where we were with some other prospects. Marvin Roth, guy from South Dakota, from North Yankton, I believe. There's also Harley Chestnut Jr., 2 of the guys I really want to get. I'm really concerned about Marvin Roth because I don't think that he'll make it to the visit. Harley Chestnut, I'm at least confident he might make it to the visit. K-State is his top, so there isn't a reason to think so. And Tim Herring is just a 52 overall receiver. We'll see what happens with that. Had a couple more on the list for this week. Justin Larson, and most importantly, Joseph Scales. He was the one high-level recruit that I was actually having success with. He is a kicker, but kicking is important. We haven't had too good of a kicking game, although our offense hasn't been that good, period, this season. So getting him for next year would be great. But we had, I had some focuses on John Burley, and pretty much none of the guys at the top of the board we were really, really winning on. And, that was concerning for me. And as I just go through the board here, just seeing, I added a couple new players. Brian Whitefield, I think, was up there. I think I also added a quarterback. And, just wanted to see if we can get new players. Mike Adams, that's what. Yeah, he was one of the better quarterbacks in the game, or in the game right now, as far as recruiting, who was not being recruited, and at least made sense because he was from Colorado. And I just kind of figured, if we had the space, I also found Jonathan Wallace Jr., but I figured if we had the space, we might as well have him on the board. But I found a pass rusher, Jonathan Wallace from Hawaii, which is, a state that I will recruit from more. As we get into just the overall board, see what's been going on. None of the top recruits have really committed, but the number 1, Chris Varga, 3-way battle between Clemson, Oklahoma State, and Baylor. I have the schedule for the future is actually made up, and I haven't revealed who we're playing yet. I will do that next episode. but I do have Big 12 teams scheduled, so hopefully he goes to one of the Big 12 teams and maybe we'll schedule them for next year. But as you can see, just going through some of the top prospects, Scott Skinner from Middlesboro, Kentucky. For West Virginia, love to see West Virginia. KJ Blackburn, #1 running back in the nation, will head to SC, so good for him. There's also Kyle Wolf, the wide receiver, favoring Ole Miss. The first committed 5-star prospect was Brian Neal. He chose Alabama, which is just great. I love to see that as an SEC fan, Love to see that. But one player who wasn't being recruited was Mili Kahananui out of Hawaii, and it did interest me. We'll come back to him later because he is from Hawaii. I'll talk about him more a little bit later. But also, top strong safety, Loftusin wasn't being recruited a heavily amount. It was just a little concerning to see this, but as you see, only 2 5-star recruits. John Burley, the big one, and I still think we're in this race, although I kind of am hoping he locks us out soon so I can break that lock and get back into the race even more, because that's a stupid feature of the lock system that works. Also, the best 4-star recruit in the nation is not being recruited. But this is the thing I was worried about, job security. Now, we're actually not in the top 5 for his being fired. But seeing he was starting off 0-4, I wanted to see where we were, and we're actually fine. Colorado State still has us at 100% job security, even though we're 0-4 to start the season. I was legitimately surprised by that. Nevada's Ken Wilson is actually the lowest security, so it's not like some of these guys are, being bad. I'm actually kind of sad to see Timmy Chang's job security a little bit low there, but I was really genuinely happy, but confused by the fact that our job security was 100%. But we look at stats as Sam Hartman from Wake Forest leads in passing yards, Mitchell from Louisville in rushing, Thompson from Purdue in receiving, and obviously we are the best team in tackling for the top 5 sack leaders. MTSU's guys, Kinley and Branch, are still riding the wave from that record-breaking game they had. Interception leaders, actually, no one's really broken out there. And as kicking stats are generated, we can see that Will Reichert hit a 56-yard field goal this season, which is fun. And I don't know why Matt Arise is on that list, because he should be, 1, a punter, and 2, graduated. But anyway, this is where we get to talk about the team in general. And as far as the quarterbacks, I'm going to go with Giles Pooler as the starter. I just think the second game for Millen drove me off, but we have given up way too many sacks. And I'll come back to that when we go look at the team stats. But I think just Pooler in general is a little bit cooler under pressure and smarter when he runs. And even when he does run, we have nothing. Ajon Vivens through 4 games, 124 yards through 4 games. That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Also, Millen has 42 for -18, which is kind of funny. But we don't have a rushing touchdown through 4 games. And I don't care, how good or bad of a team you are, you're going to have rushing touchdowns. But we don't. So we're really, really, really bad at running the football. And I feel it's weird because we've been able to move, by running, or by just our offensive nature, mainly, receiving. Torrey Horton has over 100 yards, so does Melquan Stovall, though we didn't see him much in the Washington State game. Tanner Arkin also has 110 yards, so passing we're okay, but just honestly, this team, the offense has just been overall bad. We've had good moments, but the offense has not been fun. As it's kind of just going through Torrey Horton right now, which is a good thing. But it's a good thing. But we've dropped a lot of balls that we probably shouldn't have. Obviously given up way too many sacks, but I don't credit a ton of these to the offensive line. It's mainly the right side, which is good to know at the very least. But, looking at this, I was like, yeah, this does not help me. Good news is, we have a lot of good tacklers, or I guess that's kind of good news. Bam Amina has emerged as the star on defense. Taiwan Francis has been a star on both sides of the ball, as it seems. But the top, 4 of the top 5 guys are seniors, and we're going to lose all of them next year. Luckily, we retained Bam Amina, and Angel King, who's been intercepting the ball. He has 2 interceptions on the year. But we haven't really done that good as far as just overall. But we have some standouts, especially on defense, and I'm very happy about that. When we get into team stats, Tulsa has 339 total offensive yards for some reason. But Wake Forest is the top offense in the nation right now with Sam Hartman, which is fun to see. But we're going to scroll down to our stats and see, where we are. As you pass the middle point, we're towards the bottom, but it's actually just below average for total yards, just pure yards. We're slightly below average, breaking into the 1/3. But look at the sacks. Arkansas State has the next highest at 17. We've given up 44 sacks. We almost have the same amount of sacks as first downs, and that is not good. Now, total defense, bottom 5 team. But I attribute that mostly to, we've played a good out-of-conference schedule, as MTSU has the most sacks, by the way. Played a good out-of-conference schedule, and our offense has been scuppering us, like, a lot. We're actually one of the best teams at sacking in the league, which is fun. And I think I didn't go to takeaways. I think we're at least okay in the turnover department. But third down conversions. I was a little concerned by this, but I also wanted to put an asterisk next to it because I am more willing to not succeed on third down if we can get a close fourth down. But still, almost dead last. Or no, I guess not almost, but very, very below average at 35% is not good at all. I mean, if you can not tell, we're bad. We were bad through the first 4 games. But I just honestly feel like the team has just had these moments where we're doing good. Like, it's not like we're doing bad 100% of the time. It's not like we're not moving the ball or stopping teams on certain, plays. It's just consistency. We are 57% in the red zone. Like, that's just bad. But we're just not consistent enough when we get there. Because I feel like we've been able to, move the ball, get a couple first downs, keep moving. But we are just still, we're not cashing in on the opportunity, and I'm not entirely sure how to do that. And I was actually wondering if penalties were like a huge thing that was just not happening anymore. But no, we're actually one of the best teams at avoiding penalties. Which is legitimately surprising. And I was actually interested I did find the turnover differential here. I think we were pretty good. I know we're positive in turnover differential, as we are 3. So we're positive in turnovers. So the defense is forcing turnovers. It's just the offense isn't doing anything with it. And I think, having a bad offense can affect your defense, unless you're like Iowa. But we're going to have to work on that as we get into the Week 5 top stories, and I do like to go through this, as Clemson and NC State had a good match. Michigan, the team we lost to a couple weeks ago, actually lost to Purdue in overtime this week, so Michigan has a loss now. Then K-State crushes Texas 52-6. As, Kansas football, very much good, very, very much back. As, one surprising matchup I found was Ole Miss and Oklahoma, as Ole Miss now in the top 10 playing Alabama. And we'll see all this, because remember, this is technically 2 weeks before we're supposed to be, as we now advance to Week 6. I don't go and show all the rankings. I did look at the rankings, but I actually, I edited everything and kind of just acted like it was a normal episode, besides, no game, as we do schedule a visit real quick there. I didn't see who it was for. As Clemson beats Wake Forest, which is fun. Bama survives, which is not fun. I don't like that. And then number 10 TCU, number 9 Oklahoma, big match, as there's big matches going on all over the place. And so far, I've actually been, besides Alabama, I've actually quite enjoyed how the NCAA has progressed. Also, Penn State, they were 0-3, and they crushed Northwestern. We was 3-0, so some things never change. But here we advanced to Week 7, and we finally reached San Jose State. But we'll come back to that later. As first look at the top stories, Clemson loses! Yay! Clemson loses! As Syracuse ranked at 4-1 now. As Oklahoma not doing as bad as they are in real life. And then number 6 Baylor, who's actually hardly played anyone to this point, gets to play K-State, which is fun. Georgia survives Tennessee in OT. Hopefully Tennessee beats Alabama. I guess this week is when that game will be, excuse me. But I wanted to look back at recruiting once more, because obviously a couple weeks changed. I did not show recruiting much from the week before, but John Burley now looking to go to Oklahoma as his top school, and I don't think he's going to lock us out just yet. We did manage to get Dane Ingraham, who is one of the best players in Oklahoma, and we're up there, for him. Roth, it's an even tighter battle with Northwestern. I'm still very concerned. I really want Marvin Roth. But a couple of those guys we added, Jonathan Wallace, Whitfield, excuse me. Both of them are getting, some more interest in Colorado State. Same thing with Mike Adams. I think also Dustin Lewis is a new guy. So as you get to the end of the list here, just see Tim Herring very high on our list. Once again, we check back in with the top prospects. One of them has actually committed. Kyle Wolf from Boonville, Mississippi, will be heading to Oxford as he commits to in-state Ole Miss. As we scroll down the list here, Neil's committed. There was also Cody Cook, who committed to Clemson, so good for him. Interestingly enough, Buffalo was the second team that was interested in him. But I also wanted to show Mili Kahananui. Now, he is on our board, but I am not going after him. Why is he on my board? Well, I'll be honest, he is a custom player, and sometimes the AI doesn't recruit custom players unless you put them on the board. Put them on your board. So I put him on the board. Now LSU's going after him. Also, Key Pravon, he committed to North Carolina, so 5-star from Canada, has chosen the school. But yeah, I am not going after Mili Kahananui. I think he'll stay on the board. I think he's on the board right now. This is a couple days after I recorded this, so not entirely sure. I gotta refresh my memory, but he won't be on our board and he won't be coming to the school. Also worth noting, Chris Varga, Baylor is his top school now, as it is a tight race between them, Clemson, and Oklahoma State. Really hoping he goes to Oklahoma State, because I want to schedule Oklahoma State. But anyway, just a reminder, this is the week when Joseph Scales comes in to visit. And now, here is the top 25 heading into week 7, as top 4, kind of weird. Michigan State's up there. But other than that, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. No real surprises. Oregon State's ranked 9th. Army's ranked 15th, which is fun. But also, as you go down the list, you will not see Michigan. What happened to Michigan? They lost again. And they are no longer ranked. So, yeah. Michigan had a big fallout. And also, week 6, Kansas got ranked because they were undefeated, but they lost in and then they lost in week 6. But the Heisman voting is here with actual players. Travion Henderson currently leads it. There's also Jarek Broussard, DeAndre Hughes, a guy from the Air Force, is there. Also Kenny McIntosh, but he's hurt. And Bijan Robinson, all running backs, which was a little bit of a surprise. But we look at the conference standings now. Air Force leads the Mountain Division, as Colorado State's obviously last. Looking to play their first conference game. San Jose State, the top of the Mountain West Conference, division, as they're at 4-1, 2 victories already in conference. It's gonna be tough. Also, I also wanted to point out teams that didn't have a win. We were not alone. UL Monroe does not have a win. Louisiana Tech does not have a win. Also, Iowa does not have a win. And as you see in the bottom left corner, just remind myself, Duke does not have a win. But that will be all for this episode. And I will see you all next time against San Jose State. Thank you all for watching. My name is Elton the Great, and see you all next time.